Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another Mainstream Monday here on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my co host that's been joining me for this for a while now so far. I think this is our eighth episode or seventh? Seventh.
Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Fives, and
then the rating 6.
rating. So this would be our seventh.
7, yeah.
Yeah, our seventh movie. So there you go, our seventh episode. So thank you so much for joining me, John Ward. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back again. So I really appreciate being here.
I think you're gonna continue until you're like, I'm done, or you know what I mean, like,
or until we run out of Kevin Williamson movies to do.
Well, we're about to, so I think we've got 10 episodes of that. I think total, and then
aren't we going to do every episode of Dawson's Creek?
That would be another. See, that's not a Horror Film Lovers though. That's another show. Sounds like a Dawson's Creek podcast. We could call it Going Back to the Creek,
there you go.
Or Back to the Creek. That's
Back to the Creek. There you go. Make it a little shorter.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, Back to the Creek. See, I can come up with these titles for these things that we're probably never going to do because we've got a million other shit that we're doing.
We just have difficulties on the titles for the ones we are going to do.
Horror Film Lovers, I think, was an easy title, but
yes,
just
and to the point.
Yeah, when I was doing it, I was just like Horror Film Lovers, But anyway, we're going to talk about The Faculty, as pointed behind me here. Yes, The Faculty. You've got the Blu-ray. I need the Blu-ray. I wonder if I'll come out for 4K at some point.
This is the Echo Bridge, so I think that's the only way you can get it is through Echo Bridge now.
Do Echo Bridge do 4Ks?
No, not that I know of.
I don't think so. I've never seen a 4K done by them. They need to. Everybody's doing 4Ks now. Criterion's doing 4Ks.
Yeah, surprisingly, like Echo Bridge and Mill Creek and them, everybody goes, oh, their stuff is awful. Their stuff is awful. It really isn't. Even movies where they have like one disc and there's 3 or 4 films on it, they actually look pretty good. I mean, I guess if you want 4K quality, and Lucasfilm sound and all that stuff, yeah, you're not, THX or whatever, you're not going to get it. But it's like, I think this looks really good. And it does give you different, picture quality and sound quality. So I think they do a pretty good job on stuff. So if people like this movie, they should pick this up on the Echo Bridge until it comes out better.
I think, didn't they do From Dusk Till Dawn as well? So I think they got a lot of Miramax stuff.
Yeah, they did the 3 films plus the documentary.
Yeah. And together in one disc. And I liked it.
And it looks fine.
Yeah, it looked good. I remember watching, you could pick which one you want, and it didn't look like, terrible or anything.
Right.
You keep kind of fading in and out. I don't know if that's an issue with your camera or something, your webcam. But
are you seeing a fading, or is it a glitch?
It's like a glitching thing.
Yeah, I think it's my screen. I probably need to go out and buy a new laptop, but it's been doing that lately, no matter how I adjust it. So it will do that from time to time. Hopefully not a lot.
Hopefully not. I mean, we'll see. Only time will tell.
It's not too distracting. I mean, it doesn't really mess up the picture or sound. It's just, I think there are some wires that are probably bent or something. And it's an older laptop, but at the time it was top of the line. Like it is touch screen. I could touch my finger onto the screen and do everything. So at the time it was top of the line, but that was a few years ago.
I think there was a Weird Al Yankovic song that talked about that. The fact that, you had that desktop for a week. Throw that junk away, man. It's an antique.
The second you walk out the door of Best Buy or buy it off of Amazon, it's already out of date.
It's already out of date. Yep. So I mean, you might as well just go with it. So all right, we're gonna talk about this movie.
For those of you who forgot this movie here, and also how Jonathan has it on his screen over there too. So yeah, The Faculty.
So do you remember the first time you watched this film?
I saw it opening day in the theater.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I ever saw it in the theater. God, no, I must have seen it in the theater because this is after Scream, and I became a Scream fanatic, So when I heard The Faculty was, so I saw this in the theater. It was probably not opening day, but probably that weekend I went to the.
It was, came out on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1998.
So it wasn't opening day, but that I went to see it. But so you went to see it on Christmas?
I believe so, yeah, because I was in LA at the time, well, Pasadena, and we saw it in LA. So all my friends, their parents lived in other areas of the country. So on Christmas Day, we probably got shit-faced and got a pizza and then went to go see The Faculty, and then came home and watched, movies. So that'd be my thought on it. So,
Yeah. So I, being the huge, because Scream came out, then Dawson's Creek came out, and Scream 2, and then Faculty and stuff. I Know What You Did Last Summer, all these things. I just started watching all the movies. I got them on VHS back in the day. That's how old it is, VHS, and I'd bring it home and I'd watch it and I'd be like, this is amazing. And I fell in love with Kevin Williamson's writing. He and Kevin Smith are two of my favorite writers, up there with Quentin Tarantino. And the fact that Robert Rodriguez directed this just after directing From Dusk Till Dawn, which so he directed a Quentin Tarantino movie, then he directed a Kevin Williamson movie. And I thought this was just fantastic. Rewatching this, I just absolutely love the look and feel of this movie.
It's what Scream would have looked like if he had directed Scream as planned, because Wes turned it down.
Right.
This is what Scream would have looked like.
Yeah.
The camera through the hallways, the characters, things like that. This is how Rodriguez probably would have done it. Obviously, there wouldn't be an alien bug in it, but it's you get the feel of how his directing and camera work and all that would be.
And he had some interesting characters that he put into his movie. He had, who would have Salma Hayek played in Scream? I don't know.
I don't think she's in Scream. Salma Hayek?
I'm saying, who would she have played if she were in Robert Rodriguez's version of Scream?
Probably just a teacher, maybe.
There wasn't really many teachers except for Mr. Hembry,
maybe she wouldn't have been in it, but I'm thinking more of the school, the teenagers in it, the camera work, things like that. I think probably would have.
I'm just saying he puts her in everything. He used to put Salma Hayek in everything at that particular moment. So, she's in From Dusk Till Dawn. She was in Desperado. She was in the kid movies, Spy Kids movies, and I think she was. Maybe she wasn't, but she's been in a lot of them.
She's been in almost everything he's done. I remember seeing Desperado at a sneak preview, one of those ones that came out a year before. And her sex scene with Antonio Banderas was 10 minutes long, and she's naked through the whole thing. And it's so awkwardly done. And then we read later on that she was crying her eyes out after the preview. And that Rodriguez had to recut that scene to only make it 30 seconds, maybe a minute long. But when we saw it, it was one, we had no idea who she was. And obviously Rodriguez knew who she, admired her beauty a lot, because there's the scene of her walking down the street and all the guys are crashing cars into each other because she's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so he used that in the sex scene with Antonio Banderas, and she's naked in it. And it's very, very awkward. It's not, I wish it was sexy, but it wasn't. You could tell that it was just kind of weird. And then apparently everybody thought it was, and they cut it down massively. So it's if you blink, it's gone type of thing.
Pretty much. So I want to talk, because you mentioned earlier that you had some issues with this movie, rewatching it or whatever.
Yes.
What are your issues?
Well, I'll say this. Okay. So I kind of had the same feeling as you. I had not watched this for probably about a decade. And even when I bought it on Blu-ray, I don't think I watched it. I just knew that I liked it. And so when I rewatched it, I really enjoyed it. I really liked rewatching it. And, I thought it looked good. I thought the sound was good. So the flaws that are throughout the film, except for these two things, I could forgive because it's a science fiction film. They mention that it's just, pretty much Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was Puppet Masters, which is true. I mean, they're both based on 2 books that just one rips off the other. And then we've had 4 Invasion of the Body Snatcher movies now. So I appreciate that. I appreciate them referencing what they're stealing from, which is fine by me. But my 2 things are, one is Danny Masterson. Is that his name? The guy from that 70s show?
Yeah.
So he and this other guy keep going up to, what's his face?
Zeke.
Up to Zeke and saying, hey, man, we want to buy drugs from you.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of do. And then the last time we see them, they're like, well, do you have more? Do you have more drugs? Can you sell us more drugs? And you see Zeke kind of put the pins back in his pocket. And they're like, oh, well, do you have any in your car? Could we go to your car? Could we go to your car? And it's like, okay, so Zeke is noticing something here. These guys are obviously undercover cops. They're like 21 Jump Street type guys. Or they're just being used by the cops because they're probably mic'd. That is completely missing from the rest of the movie. I have no proof of this, but it's weird that they set this whole thing up with these 2 guys constantly buying drugs, wanting them more, almost setting up to where Zeke would get arrested and then just drop it entirely.
Do you realize that they were under the alien thing? They were trying to get the drugs from him so that they can get rid of it, so that people didn't use it on the aliens themselves. They were aliens.
Are you sure?
I am positive of that. That's what I got from it. When they came up, they said, do you have any drugs? Do you have any more? Can I get more? It was basically them trying to buy all the drugs out from him so he couldn't go and kill the aliens.
Okay, so the first time they buy the drugs, they're normal.
Right.
Second time they buy the drugs, they're infected
by the aliens,
and they're trying to get all the drugs so they could throw them away. But at that point, would they know that the drug affects them in that way?
Yes. And the only reason I think that is because there is that scene where and it was before that happened, right? Where what is it? What's his name? Zeke actually stabs the teacher in the eye.
Right, John Stewart.
Yeah, and they realize, oh crap, this does something to them, right? And that was after that happened before that scene, right? Of him asking for all the drugs and stuff.
So was Jordana Brewster, who is freaking gorgeous, by the way, excuse me, was she already infected?
Yes.
And then went and told them to try to get the drugs from him?
I don't know if he told them, but somehow, and maybe you might have a right to like question this. There might have been a thing where it's a little confusing as to how those 2 characters know, but
yeah, because the teacher, so John Stewart dies. Mm-hmm. They're all there. They're sneaking out of the high school. Nobody would know about this. They get into the car. The football team with Usher goes in. It's amazing that I actually like Usher, and I don't really know his music that well, but as an actor, I've never minded him. But I could not stand Nick Cannon. I hate Nick Cannon in 100%. I cannot stand the guy.
Usher and Nick Cannon are completely different people in a way.
I mean, maybe, but I see something with Usher and I go, oh, Usher. Okay, I could watch that. I see something with Nick Cannon and I go, God, I can't stand this guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's the same thing as you watch a movie with somebody else and you watch a movie like Kevin Hart. Maybe you've seen Kevin Hart and enough stuff and you're like, I don't like him anymore, or whatever. Because I think that's the other problem with Nick Cannon is Nick Cannon at one point was everywhere. Usher really didn't get like a huge career in acting, as much as he did with his music,
Yeah. But so they make their way through the parking lot. People, the Usher and all the football guys come and say, hey, you want to play? And then they get into the car and they speed off and they go to Zeke's house which is where we see that giant lab set up.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's where I think, so obviously, I guess also, once again, I mean, how long has Jordana Brewster been infected?
She's been infected since she left. So my take on it, but once again, this is never explained, and this is never, not even told in any kind of like exposition or anything. But Jordana Brewster leaves Elijah Wood, right? She runs off, and Elijah Wood's left by himself. He goes back, gets his parents. They go investigate the whole stuff without her, right? He's been trying to contact her. And then the next time you see her, she's wearing the glasses, she has her hair down and everything. So she is she's been infected already.
So before glasses, not infected, with glasses, affected. So she gets infected off screen. Right. So at some point then she had to tell people because Danny Masterson and the friend go up to Zeke before that.
Right. So sometime maybe
I think what you're saying is correct. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That they would already know that these things affect. That's why I'm thinking, okay, something must be cut, because we never go back to them at all. Like, we never see them through the rest of the movie. Like, we don't even get a shot of them running in like a horde of these aliens.
The only other thing that I could think of, which once again, not explained and not, whatever, is that all of them are supposed to be like of a hive mind kind of thing. Like they all kind of are one, of the, all of these creatures, right? So maybe there's a little bit of telepathy kind of thing to like, and the thing is, she's not just the only person that's infected. Remember also there's the main girl, Mary Beth, Louise Hutchinson or whatever, like from Atlanta, right? Like the main girl, the chick. So she is she's the queen, right? She's the one at the end that like they have to basically defeat. Because there's also that one bit. This is why I knew after rewatching that they must be trying to get all the stuff, because at one point she tries to like use up all the stuff, right? On what the one girl, the one lady who the principal.
Yeah, BB Newworth.
Yeah.
Who was also gorgeous. This movie is filled with beautiful women.
Oh,
and BB Newworth is just friggin' awesome to begin with, since she, worked with Bob Fosse and she's done a lot of Broadway and stuff like that. She's a great dancer too. It's almost like it was like, sorry, you just got to sacrifice yourself here, and I'm just going to throw all this stuff on you. Right. I think when I saw it in the theater originally, because we don't see who this is, like at the very beginning where Robert Patrick turns around and goes, yeah, what do you want? That we don't see who it is, and then it brings in that Mary Beth. I think I kind of went, oh, it's her. Like once they started talking about the queen, then it was just like, oh, it's her.
Like this was originally or just now?
Originally. No, originally. Okay. Like, especially as the movie was going on, it was like, it's got to be her, because she throws all of it. Like, why are you throwing all of this stuff on BB Newworth? I'm like, it's got to be her because she's wasting it.
Well, it's that, yeah. But you did, the only thing that made me doubt everything from this is when she took the scat, the drug. So she took it and she would, right? And we see
which is silly because when we go to the flashback of that and all she does is pop out the bottom and it all falls out, why wouldn't anybody see that?
Well, nobody saw it because what happened at that exact moment was when what's her name freaked out, the main girl or whatever, the Jordana Brewster's character freaked out, Delilah. When she freaked out, that's when we're all paying attention to that and not paying attention to Mary Beth. So we thought we saw her taking the thing.
It's a stretch because it's right there on the floor. I mean, you would think that, it's a long pin, right? And that somebody would see it coming out, and then you're seeing this big pile of it on the floor.
They might not have seen it coming out, but you know what? They might have saw it on the floor, and they might have thought it was the other girls.
I don't know. I mean, it's those are little nitpicks that I can just whatever, because I just enjoy the movie. Right. My two things are with, Danny Masterson and then the other guy. Like, who are they? Why didn't we ever see them again? They're completely missing for the rest of the movie.
All right.
My other problem is 1 month later, the very end. I hate that ending. That 1 month later reminds me of the 1 month later from The Invasion, that Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig film, which was the third Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie.
But wasn't that after the Faculty? So didn't the Invasion rip that off?
It just reminds me, well, I mean, yes and no. I'm not comparing the two of saying one took it from the other. I'm just saying it's when you in the movie 1 month later on such a high note, to me, it diminishes the rest of the movie, because you don't really have a big loss. Like, nobody died, really. I mean,
everybody went back to normal, except
which doesn't make any sense. So, and they mention that, Stokely mentions that, oh, well, I guess if you kill the queen, everybody would go back to normal. Well, there's no proof of that, because in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, when you became a pod person, you died.
Right. So
it was, and every film except for The Invasion ends on a down note, that they do take over. And I think that's a letdown with this. And I almost wonder if that's studio interference, because the two guys get the girls. The druggy Zeke, now he's on the football team. Okay,
that was weird. I never liked that, because I thought I didn't get it. Why was he on the field and smoking a cigarette? Like, it didn't even make any sense.
I mean, I guess because he had to repeat a year, maybe he's 18, and so like he can smoke a cigarette. But it's like, when you're on school property, why would they be allowing you to do that? You're on the football team.
That's not even the problem. It's just like, I thought that was silly that he was smoking a cigarette while playing football.
Well, and there's the weird thing with the teacher. So she's up there in the stands watching him.
Yeah, she likes him
he's
now.
Once again, he's 18 probably, but he's still a student in high school. So that whole thing, and then you get what's his face, the Elijah Wood, Casey, his character then gets the bitchy girl.
Well, they had a little bit of a thing going on. They kind of
she was still a bitch. So that's the thing that confuses me with this drug, or the aliens, I should say.
I liked her. Like, I mean, I didn't, not just because she's just flat out gorgeous. I've always had a crush on Jordana Brewster. But, but the fact that she had like moments where you could see sort of like, okay, she's not. And I think, honestly want to say that the stuff I really dug about the writing of the script was the fact that, and what I looked into, did some little bit of research about it, was that the whole idea of the when you got infected and you become whatever, it's becoming what you really desire, right?
So she's a bitch.
No,
because she's a
originally she was a bitch. Originally she was a bitch.
And then when she gets infected, she's still a bitch.
She is bitchy, but she's still sort of,
that's a total inconsistency, because Robert Patrick is the jerk coach who then becomes the mellow nice guy. What's her face? The Fampa, how do you say her name? Famke Jan Hansen. When her teacher character is very shy, very timid, and then she becomes like the sex pot. Okay, so then what did Piper Laurie go from? So Piper Laurie, who's the older teacher, she was pretty much the same from beginning to end.
Not really. She's still a little frumpy in the beginning. She's sort of like, she's kind of complaining and she's scared and she's like, whatever, all these different things. Then when she gets infected, she kind of becomes this like, I'm ready to let's help each other kill these people.
I didn't get that at all. BB Newirth pretty much stayed the same. The only one that really stood out to me was Delilah, Jordana Brewster because she was a bitch at the beginning. She was a bitch under the influence. And then she became a nice person at the end to the guy that she was torturing. So it's like, I guess, good for him. And then the weird thing with Elijah Wood's character, all of a sudden he's on all these magazine covers. Why are you on all the,
like, why was he?
Yeah, like, you're a photographer, technically a photographer. And why would he be on all these covers? The magazines, if anything, would be conspiracy theory magazines. They wouldn't be like Time Magazine or Newsweek or whatever it is, because he's going around saying that my school was invaded by aliens, which there's literally no proof of, since we saw them dissolve, when Stokely comes out of it. So that means that once the queen is dead, all the worms must come out of the bodies and then dissolve on the ground.
Mm-hmm. So proof of it, yeah.
Right. So that ending to me seemed tacked on. That I did not like that ending at all. Up to that point, I thought it was fine, but it's just like, no, it's no.
Yeah, it's a terrible. Yeah, you're right. Because and was he? I guess he was the one who saved the day, right? He's the one who won at the end. He defeated the he defeated the queen. So like that was the only reason why he's on all the covers, is because he's the one who saved the school and saved the thing. But you're right. No, why would that be on Time Magazine or all these different places? Because how would anybody even like know that this is true? Like,
right.
I don't know. Unless it was like 3 years or 5 years later and he wrote a book about it, or something, and it became a best-selling book, or whatever, you know what I mean? But once again, it's a conspiracy theory kind of thing, because nobody will know that it, like,
the government certainly wouldn't allow it out. I mean, they were even there, but they were most likely under the influence. But it's like, there's no way this government would let this out. And where did the monster go at the very end? So he crushes it in the stairs. He uses the last pin on it, so it gets that kind of like salt on a slug type look, but it didn't. We didn't see it totally dissolve. Like BB Newworth totally dissolved because she had like a bucket load of that stuff put on her. Mm-hmm. So that means, is that monster still there? Where is it? Where did it go?
Maybe they were set up for a possible sequel, which it didn't get a sequel because it did not do as well as they were hoping.
Well, maybe not, but looking at looking at Wikipedia here, so the budget of the movie was $15 million. It made $63.2 million. So to have a film
in the box office, is that including with like DVD sales?
Well, that I don't know. It's just saying that's box office.
So what I'm just saying is, somebody like, okay, to use this as an example, I don't think Eraser did very well. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Racer movie. I don't think it was a huge, box office success. However, they just made Eraser Reborn, that's coming out this year or so, and it looks like crap. But the point being that, that they might go look at this movie and go, well, let's make a Faculty 2 set 20 years later or whatever. I guess it'd be more than that, 30 years later. And, you know what I mean? Like, make it down the line.
I hope they don't. I mean, I would never want to see a sequel to this unless it was something that was, the government has an underground lab and the aliens are in there. So you see them in labs being tested on and all that type of stuff. That there's some sort of advancement within the years. Like, you couldn't do a direct sequel, like right afterwards, like 1 year later, you would have to do something. Yeah, that's like 30 years later. But then what's the point? I mean, it's way too. They can't even make a good sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they keep trying to do that every few years. So I mean, it's just leave existing IPs alone and focus on something else.
Well, I think you have a good point, but my point being that this, the beauty of aliens, right, coming down and attacking us and everything, is that, that's a race of things, right? That's a race of beings, So what if there's still a race of beings out there, another queen with the same, thing, and they come in here. I used to read a book. The reason why I was so excited for the faculty when it first came out was it reminded me, there's a book I used to read by Bruce Corville, I want to say is his name. And it was called My Teacher is an Alien, and I was hoping it would be more like that. Now they have made My Teacher is an Alien movies, they're like, what is it, directed DVD little, whatever. I've never watched them. I want to now.
I've never heard of them. Yeah.
But they're books I used to read as a kid. I would get them at the bookstore, and they were just simple little reads, and they were kind of funny. The idea that what if your teacher was an alien, you know what I mean? Like that could be a kind of a cool thing. But so that's why I was excited about the faculty, because I was like, oh my God, a whole movie where the whole school is aliens, that sounds cool. Then you watch it, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's Scream, like somebody mentioned that
that's why we saw it.
Yeah, people tried to they tried so hard to recreate do the lightning in a bottle and recreate Scream, but just with aliens, and try to do something different. Problem is, I think it just didn't get marketed very well, and it was, didn't do very well at the beginning. I think it didn't even make its budget in the first first opening weekend, and that's usually a bad sign, when a movie doesn't make its budget in the first opening weekend. Even like Marvel tries to get, their things close to it, close to their budget in the opening weekend. So,
well, that's what you want. I mean, yeah. But sometimes it takes a little bit. I mean, The Batman is about to hit the 1 billion mark. So it's about to, they're saying that it will be doing, outdoing Spider-Man. So it's and I think rightly so. I think it's a better movie than Spider-Man, but I think it's better written, directed, and everything. But it depends. I remember when I saw it, the theater was packed, and it has a great cast. Harry Knowles I could live without. I mean, I don't need to see that guy on screen, but Well,
hey, look, don't diss Harry. Like.
Harry was useless. Harry was absolutely useless.
He was useless.
He was dependable at first, and then we all noticed that he was taking payoffs from studios, allegedly taking payoffs from studios to give movies good reviews because he was getting the 5-star treatment. And that's where we all lost respect for him. But at this point, when The Faculty came out, that's when he was huge. And figuratively and literally huge, and that's why they wanted him in the movie. But he became a sellout, and it's like I just I don't need to see, and he's just not like who is he in the movie except to have Harry Knowles in the movie? What is he doing?
He did one thing.
He delivered water.
No, he did one thing that was amazing, and it wasn't even his performance, and nothing to do with him acting and being in it. Behind the scenes, he was the first person to tell Elijah Wood that they were casting for Lord of the Rings, and said you should try out, for Lord of the Rings. Gave him the hint about it. Elijah Wood that day called up and found out that he could audition for Lord of the Rings, even though Peter Jackson was only looking for English actors at that time. He, Peter Jackson took his audition and he got Lord of the Rings. So him getting Lord of the Rings was all thanks to Harry Knowles, who had the scoop about that.
All right.
So
I actually have right behind me there the whole Lord of the Rings series. It's up on that top shelf.
You know what? Love it or hate it or whatever, but you know what? Elijah Wood would never have even known about that, at that time, and would not have been in cast in the movie. Now they would have found somebody else, and it probably still would have been a good movie, or a great movie or
Well,
whatever.
then I'll give him credit for that. Of course, it's Elijah Wood who got the part. I mean, he auditioned
Right.
for it and all that. I mean, it's nice that Harry Knowles does that. I'm not saying that he's necessarily a bad person. He might be a
Oh, I
very
know.
nice guy
I'm
in
just
real
saying
life.
that's the only thing he did.
But
And that's the only thing that I'm like, because after watching this movie, Harry Knowles' character is utterly pointless. Like there's other
he
than
delivered water. That was
Yeah.
it. And I do not believe for a second this 500-pound guy can lift those bottles of water to put them up on the stacks.
Right.
No way. He would have a heart attack just trying to lift one of those.
Yep.
So it's those things. And another weird thing about this film are two people. They were a couple. If you remember, the couple that's fighting in like the area, and she's like hitting him, and then she runs off, and then near the end when they're infected, they're all like lovey-dovey.
They're fuck you 1 and 2. Fuck you,
yeah,
and fuck you, girl, or something.
Why are they in the credits? Why are they in the main credits? Except
because they're famous actors.
Okay, well, Summer Phoenix. I mean, I have no idea who these people are. But Summer Phoenix must be part of the Phoenix family, like River Phoenix and Joaquin Phoenix.
Sister.
Okay, so she serves no purpose. Then we have John Abrahams. I have no idea who he is.
I love John Abrahams.
Who's he?
Seen the movie Outside Providence? That's a great comedy. He's in a ton of these things with Shauna Tosi, who plays what's his name in the Faculty. He plays what's the guy's character? Fuck. He's not
who?
Oh my God, Sean's one of the main people. He's not even in this oh man, they put Usher in there before I didn't realize that. That is so funny. So the guy that should be right there, where Usher's at, and who is oh no, Shauna Tosi's right behind Usher. So the guy who's right, Stan, I guess was his name, right? The one that was dating Delilah and then ends up dating Clea Duvall at the end of the movie, which made no sense really, because
I recognize him. I like him. I mean, I guess if you want to give the fuck you boy and girl their own credits, that's fine. To me, just being part of the Phoenix family isn't like you're part of the Martin and Martin Sheen or Estevez family. To me, it doesn't hold as much clout.
I don't know. It wasn't
as like a Renee Estevez. I think holds more clout than a Summer Phoenix. But
you like a Joaquin Phoenix, right? And there was
I'm not a fan of Joaquin Phoenix. I liked him as the Joker, maybe one other role. I think that he's kind of an idiot and full of himself. I just don't. I'm not a fan.
I don't know him
personally,
so I can't say.
Oh, I don't know him either. I'm only going off of interviews and articles and stuff like that. That he just seems to just be. Maybe he's mellowed out, but I don't know. He just kind of came off kind of as the opposite of his brother. And then, of course, when River died, we got the poor excuse for a replacement. So I'm not a huge fan of him. I prefer the older cast in this. Maybe it is because I'm older. I mean, we got, Christopher McDonald played the dad, and Christopher McDonald is awesome. And did you
notice that what's his name? Robert Patrick kind of shoots him the thing when he's talking to him at the car. He does the finger guns. Yeah, the finger guns, which was from Happy Gilmore. He does the
well, see, not watching Adam Sandler movies because I can't stand him. I would not know that.
Right, but what I'm those little things are just kind of a neat little shit that I got when I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool, because I am an Adam Sandler fan. But and plus I absolutely love Christopher McDonald. Every movie I ever see of him, even if it's like a small little cameo, and it's so funny. Real quick, Christopher McDonald was at one point cast in a I forgot which one it was. I think it was Battle of Shaker Heights, and one of the Project Greenlight movies, and they had the Project Greenlight TV show. And what happened was he was cast as like the father person or whatever, but then their original person that they had, whatever, ended up coming or something like that. So they had to like let Christopher McDonald go, and they got William Sadler. Both those guys are two of my favorite actors who, like, anytime they pop up in a movie, I'm just like sitting back watching them and, like just happy. You know what I mean? Like they're just such great actors to me. They deserve like more lead roles and stuff, and I feel like they don't get enough of that, personally.
Well, a lot of these guys, they get cast in certain things because of characters that they played before.
Right.
You got, because he played he played Ward Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver. And that's because a lot of times he plays a bad guy. So they said, well, no, let's have him play Ward Cleaver. That would be, that'd be funny. Just like, I'm blanking on his name, but the dad from the Brady Bunch movies played a serial killer in a real life movie about a particular guy who ended up murdering his wife. And they're like, let's get him to play Mike Brady because it's funny. Let's get guys who play bad guys to all of a sudden play these iconic, like, good guy dads.
Yeah.
And Christopher McDonald falls into that category. So I don't know, maybe because you're younger, you might know some of the younger actors better than I do. And me being older, I appreciate the older actors more.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for sure. So yeah, I honestly, I enjoy the older actors too. For some reason I got BB Newirth and Famke Janssen like mixed up, not from their look or anything, but just from their names or whatever. I just didn't know which character they were playing, and I don't really follow their career enough where, but now, I mean, I loved both of them, and they were great. Robert Patrick is fucking T-1000, and him running down like, the hall, after BB Newirth's character is just fucking fantastic. It reminded me of Terminator 2, like.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, the director and the writer are, as we know, huge movie fans, so they're going to throw in little jokes here and there.
Right. Yeah. So, and especially, well, did you notice? And this is mentioned in the trivia, but I noticed it when I first saw it, or whatever, is Mr. Furlong, Jon Stewart's character. His name Mr. Furlong. That was obvious.
Yeah, Edward Furlong. Yeah.
Yeah, reference to Edward Furlong, considering that Robert Patrick's in this movie. That was kind of a neat little thing. So then again, Casey is named Casey Connors. So I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to wonder if Kevin Williamson was just on a Terminator 2 kick at that time. It was just like, all right, Connors, like John Connors, Edward Furlong, like who played John Connors. All right, because none of the other characters have like names that are very Stokely. I know where that came from, and Delilah. I don't know what her last name was, or whatever. So, I
think in some cases with the names, they were like Delilah would be more of the stuck-up princess name. Mary Beth is the, I'm from Kansas type of girl. Zeke
also
would be
very Mary Sue kind of character, you think, or whatever. Like somebody can't even she wasn't even able to fucking do any drugs because it would kill her, is what she said, which she must have known, right, from the very beginning, that would have fucked up her, thing.
I don't know if she thinks it's the drug that would do it, or that she is, and since she's not from this planet, that like she doesn't do anything thinking it could hurt her. It's like, well, I'm not going to drink alcohol because it may mess me up. I'm not going to do drugs because it may mess me up. I'm not going to do, that type of thing. That maybe it would mess her up, because there's a lot of those, because you got to think, because if you look at something like, let's say, Signs, if the aliens are infected by water, why would you land on the planet that has the most water?
Well, maybe because they didn't know, right?
Then you leave, oh shit, one of our guys just got killed by a bucket of water. Let's get the hell off this planet.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if this is safe now, like,
yeah, all it takes is one of their guys, like, what the hell happened to Joe?
I fucking
Joe,
it pissed me off when you see the aliens in Signs, and they look like every other fucking alien that you see in, like, like the green aliens that, you whatever, right? And I'm just like, oh, that just sucks.
Oh, it did bother. I love Signs. I think it's his last good movie, M. Night's last good film. I think otherwise he's.
I disagree. Split is one of my favorite movies of his. So.
It's Split is good, but it's incredibly flawed. And for the most part, M. Night is a shit writer, in my opinion. He's not a good director. He's not a good writer. He's unfortunately got that label of, I got to make everything with the twist ending. Well, dude, you're not Rod Serling. Rod Serling was a genius. You're not Richard Matheson.
He originally wasn't like, so Signs, or not Signs, Sixth Sense was a ripoff of an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. And he actually mentioned that before, that he got the idea, homage from watching an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, where you realize that the guy's been talking to this girl for a long time and realizes later she was actually a ghost the whole time, in the audience.
I've not heard that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So even DJ McHale, the creator of Are You Afraid of the Dark, co-creator of Are You Afraid of the Dark, heard that and was like, wow, it's kind of cool, like that's a neat
plagiarism, but okay.
It's not really. Anybody can do a movie where the person, you find out later the person's a ghost. You're not ripping, like that's just a thing. Like, it's not even, but whatever.
James Cameron's one of my favorite directors, and not one of his movies has been original. Literally not one. It's everything is a ripoff on something else.
Yeah, Terminator was a ripoff of 2 Outer Limits episodes.
Well, go back further than that. His first film is Piranha 2, so a sequel. And then, Terminator is a ripoff on 2 Outer Limits episodes. And then Aliens is a sequel, plus it's a ripoff on the book Starship Troopers. The Abyss is Sphere from Michael Crichton. You could just go on Titanic, not original.
Well, all this stuff. There was a movie called Titanic, by the way, back in.
Well, there's a lot of movies on that, but it's just he just decided to take something that's been done 100 times, and then even Avatar is just a ripoff on all the stuff that deals with Avatar.
I don't know. True Lies was pretty original to me.
True Lies was a remake of a French film.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. He was supposed to do Aquaman, which would have been a, adaptation of Aquaman.
Well, according to Entourage, yes.
Yeah, I'm joking. That was the joke.
But back to The Faculty.
Wait, what? We're talking about The Faculty? I forgot.
So I guess we should kind of wrap this up because we've been here for a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we want to keep this a little shorter. So I enjoyed The Faculty. I think it's highly underrated. I think people should see it. I think it's a good movie. Even with my 2 issues, I highly recommend watching The Faculty.
I do too. I think it's it's a lot of fun. It's probably one of my most fun Kevin Williamson things. And once again, I think a lot of it has to do with Robert Rodriguez's directing and the fact that it goes pretty quick, paced and everything, and then you mix that with the pop culture references and stuff that Kevin Williamson's really good at. It was just a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed it, and I felt like they kept calling it like hip and scary. I don't really find it scary, but I do find it hip, at least at that time period. So there you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it scary because I don't think it's a horror movie. It's a science fiction film.
Yeah, so we put in a horror film lovers, but it has some horror elements. It had very much like as much as like The Thing is a horror film, it's kind of like that.
You think The Thing is a horror film? I think it's a science fiction movie.
Well, it's a science fiction movie with horror elements.
It's sci-fi horror. Yeah.
And this is sci-fi horror, in my opinion. There's
I guess sci-fi could be scary. Alien is scary, and Alien is considered to be a horror movie. It's not considered to be a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
Actually, it's considered to be a haunted house movie, the original Alien.
Yeah, which is, what's that guy talks about that? The Save the Cat guy talks about that, the haunted house thing. So, yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, it's wonderful. I love this movie. I could watch this over and over and over again. And I'm surprised I haven't watched it. I think I watched it last year or the year. I think I watched it in 2020. So it's been a couple years since I've seen it, but I saw it on TV and I was like, or on HBO Max before, and I was like, I gotta watch this. Like it's one of those movies that when you see it and you're like, oh, let me watch it. Let me check it out. Yeah, and so, yep, wonderful flick. If you guys haven't seen it, then please go watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. And then tell us if we were wrong, about this stuff. But I swear, I believe that those two guys actually were aliens, and that's why they acted so weird.
I think what you're saying is correct. It just wasn't followed up on. We needed a shot because a lot of these people at the time were unknown. So it was like their first big movie or something. Mm-hmm. But I think you needed something where you needed to see like Danny Masterson later. You needed to like see him come after Zeke, or you needed him to go after somebody and then die. Like they threw the drug on him and then he dies. You needed something. Why would you bring a character back, a couple times and just not do anything with him? So, it doesn't seem, that's why I thought, I don't know, are they like cops? Are they like 21 Jump Streeting this? And then we just don't see them again. But what you're saying does make sense.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for checking this out. Join us next week when we talk about Cursed.
Yes.
And
yes.
Going to be a fun one. All right, everybody. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.